have just trying to figure some things out in the goal and in the riding game on a narrow field. It was a little hard to tell what actually was happening here. This is, like I say, this is going to be much more telling today.
The face-off X, and these two players, Griff Meyer, Vince Gaylord. Meyer wins, gets Virginia on attack right away. And we'll keep an eye on that face-off X today, Dom, because that's going to be very important for both these teams with new face-off guys.
Both teams have freshmen face
last year early on in the first half.
Last weekend in Virginia's game with Colgate, they struggled to face off, and they struggled in a ground ball game, which is really a surprise for Virginia, which is always near the top nationally on ground balls. So it's not so much the draw, it was
defensive challenge than they saw from Colgate with this game today. Very
different. If you're going to play, 4 or 5 attackmen in your first offensive unit, the best thing that could happen is that if they got to play the opportunity to play as a extra man unit or as a zone offense, and that's essentially what Colgate gave them. And
expertise area, they're very good at it defensively, but a couple of times here now we've seen the Cavaliers get some shooting space and be a little bit more open than Richmond might like at this point to get those 2 goals.
Again, a good face-off as a player. I mean, last weekend we saw him coming around left-handed. We saw him feeding left-handed. Now we see him away from the ball. He's just doing a little bit of it all right now.
That's another win for Meyer here. Quickly to the attack as Virginia scrambles around.
We'll keep an eye on it to see whether or not they go into a more traditional setting,
Anthony Dicenso is now taking this face-off against Griff Meyer. And Pennyfeather Stevenson digs it out of there for Richmond.
Yeah, and, oftentimes facing off is just such a make these guys beat us off the dodge.
And we go back to the face-off X here. Meyer against Dicenso. And the Cavaliers come away with that one as Robbie Hopper had 6, 4 from Colsey and 4 from McCabe Millen. So we're back to the face-off X now here in this first. Virginia's goal is second of the game and 6th of the season. And Richmond slides in to pick that up from the wing as it is Ricciardi, and nobody picked him up in front. Violation on the face-off will give Virginia maybe one last shot here with 2 seconds.
The issue there is that they used to benefit from that actually. Now this is just 2 good teams nationally playing lacrosse.
Once again, it's Dicenso at the face-off X. And now this becomes a foot race here. Nice job by Pennyfeather Stevenson to knock that back to Jack Ricciardi. And I'm sorry, that's not Ricciardi that time. It's Jack Pilling. But Richmond has possession.
Program, I'd have forgotten that Joey Terenzi is number 5. He's been nicked up quite a bit over the last year or so of his career, and to see him out there matched up on that one-on-one, I think that Virginia needs to be a little bit quicker to support him.
Good job by the Spiders here to check this one free as they try to come up with possession, but Virginia will get it back in the midfield, and they'll quickly get it ahead to Brendan Millen. And we've seen O'Neal, as we've alluded to several times today, with Virginia on the offensive end here. O'Neal's been out.
Can get back in there and defend in transition. I'm watching a guy trying to fly off the field as that defenseman is running down the middle of the field.
And here's a win from Gaylord now, getting to offense here quickly. Well, and we've seen Braden Pennyfeather Stevenson.
And that seems to be the way we're headed here today.
Vince Gaylord is out for Richmond at the face-off X, and now we get a violation here. It was Henry Metz who popped in that time for Virginia. He's seen some action with Griff Meyer.
The top and hit a shot on the run, which is the more traditional midfield kind of action.
And that's what he just did there, pretty much. He just streaked over to the right There's a win at the X as Griff Meyer stepped back out there that time at the faceoff. Cavaliers look for the equalizer here now. So Dicenso's back out, going against Meyer here. And actually, that may not have been Dicenso that time either. Bodies collide. Looks like Jackson Strickland came out to take that face-off for Richmond. Spiders have the possession.
There. And credit to O'Neal. Credit to O'Neal for making a shot. So you got Millen at one end and O'Neal at the other end. You know, and is, you know, we coach and we think we're so smart. At the end of the day, you know, kind of you kind of remarked to it. You know, your best players need to make plays in an important game like this.
Both teams doing a great job today putting the shots on cage. 20 for Virginia, 15 on goal. 21 for Richmond and 15 on goal for the Spiders. So both teams are on target.
And there are days when you just got to outscore the other team, you know, and for both these teams right now, that's sort of the way we're headed. A little bit, you would think a little bit uncharacteristic for Richmond, but I think it's part of their evolution that they're able to play at this level in a game like this and make the plays that they may need to in order to win.
We got some laundry on the field there with that broken stick, and Richmond comes out with possession, which is over 50. Leading the way here for the Spiders in this 3-goal advantage.
You know, you don't ordinarily track someone's career in a straight line, a straight upward or downward line. You know, they're ebb. I think they were expecting Morris to be their starter this year, and then they found Marek, like we talked about earlier, and they've been very pleased with his performance to date. So in Morris, they have an experienced goalie anyway.
As Hudson Hausman was just a little bit late to recover to get over there, it looked like. Change at the X.
Yeah, Richmond comes back with Strickland again in the face-off.
And Greenspan took that draw at the face-off X. But Strickland's done a pretty good job. Well, he hadn't taken any until he took some last year. Hadn't taken any. Gaylord, a talented freshman, and of course both of these teams are looking at new guys at such an important position.
You know, it's funny that I saw somewhere one time that the face-off statistics don't generally correlate directly with results of games, but it sure feels that way. You know, it makes a big play right there.
And it does stop that Richmond run. And now a win for Griff Meyer at the face-off X.
Virginia needs to stitch a couple possessions together, a couple of good ones.
Very important right now.
Display confidence that you don't feel in your boots, so to speak. You know, so.
Now, and also in Virginia's defense, you know, John Schroeder's not playing today. Probably your best defenseman. You know, what does that do to your unit back there when you're trying
to catch back up in this one here? They need to win face-offs, win the ball in the middle of the field, and keep taking that ball down to the offensive end.
Face-off violation will be Virginia's possession.
You know, and it's not good news when you have to change your goalie. You know, it'd be really hard to come off the bench and face this.
Violation on the play. I think it'll be Richmond's possession for Joe Sheridan to go to work.
But you know, Virginia needs to have guys that can beat people off the dodge. And he's just beginning to show that he may be able to fill that role for them.
Gaylord wins that battle. But
it'll be an interesting last 15 minutes here.
Connor Knight has 12 saves as we see this scramble here. And Griff Meyer comes away with it. So we're back to the face-off X here. Scramble for this one is scooped up by Hopper of Virginia.
Going down the short side with his offhand. That's a big play.
Well, Millen had 4 goals and 5 assists last time out. Now the violation gives Virginia the ball again. That's Millen's.
You know, Ryan Dunkel trailing him and stuff. And I think if you could leave one of those Virginia attackmen in the defensive end, I think you could take advantage of that. So it's something we might see a little bit more of going forward.
Virginia corrals that loose ball there. Now it looks like Dicenso's out to go up against Meyer here, but Meyer wins the battle, at least at the initial part. Richmond's going to get the ground ball with Jack Pilling. Pilling racing ahead.
Push the break.
Chased from behind, and he'll dump it off as he had Ben Boyer.
Really good stuff off the ground. He scores a goal late, an important goal late in the game.
I mean, of course, he's a preseason All-A-10 selection. USA Lacrosse has him a second-team All-American. Inside Lacrosse has him on the second team. He's the second team for a lot of these